In this section, we will talk about shape. In After Effects, we can create shape by using our shape tool and the pen tool. If I hold down my left click, I'll be able to expand the box down and we'll be able to search for the shapes that we want over here. If let's say I hold down left key, I will be able to choose my pen tool, add vertex tool, delete vertex tool, convert vertex tool, and mask feather tool. So basically, pen tool is for us to create an organic shapes, whereby in shapes tool are for us to create a geometric shape. So let's take a look at the rectangle tool. I just drag and draw a rectangle. In my timeline, you'll be able to see that there's this shape layer. So inside the shape layer, there's two main sections, which is the content section that holds the shapes and the attributes of the shapes, as well as the transform section where it holds the attributes for the shape layer. So content, inside a shape layer, we can hold few shapes, be it organic or geometric shapes. We have the rectangle path. So if let's say we expand it down, we will be able to see the size, the position, and the roundness. So let's take a look at the size. If I hold down my left key and drag to the left, I decrease the size. If I drag to the right, I increase the size. The number in front of the comma is X, which is the width, and the number behind is Y, which is the height of the size. So if let's say I unlink it and I drag, I'll be able to see something like this. Roundness is actually the roundness of the corner. You can just hold down and drag. You'll be able to see the corner is getting rounder and rounder. So if let's say you don't like dragging the numbers, you want to have a specific numbers, you can just click on the blue text and key in whatever numbers that you like. So this is the rectangle path. Now take a look at the stroke here. So if we expand, we will be able to change the color of the stroke. Maybe I can change to yellowish. And I can change the opacity of it. Right now, I just increase the size first. And right now, I have butter cap, I have round cap and projecting cap. This is the types of cap. And the join. Let's take a look at the dash. This is the design of the outline. Add, we will have dash. Right now, I have 10 pixels of the dash. If let's say I add one more, I will see the gap. I increase the gap, you will see that the dash is still 10 pixels, but the gap is further apart. I can add again to get another length of dash, and I can increase the dash. Let's take a look at the butter cap. If let's say I get into round cap, the edge will become round. And right now I'll try to turn this slightly further apart. I'll be able to see my round cap over here. Projecting cap, same like butter cap, but it will somehow extend slightly at the head and the tail of the dash. Let's head into the tapers. My start width is 0, my end width is 0 as well. I can't see anything here. If let's say I expand my taper of my start length, I'll be able to see that my 0 tip width at the start and slowly growing thicker and thicker to 100%. Same goes to the end length. So you can design your strokes by using the taper as well. Now let's take a look at the wave. We can increase the amount of the wave. So this is the wave design, and you can change pixel or cycle. Right now I just keep back to pixels. And wavelength, you can increase the wavelengths of it. So you can play around with the face as well. And whenever you see the stopwatch, you can keyframe it. Let's take a look at the fill. The fill, basically more direct. We can change the colors and also the opacity. And right now we have the transform as well. You see the transform is catered just for the rectangle one, whereas the bottom here is catered for the whole shape layer. They have the same attributes as well. It's just that inside the shape layer, we have skew and skew axis. So this is the difference between the transform inside the shape itself and on the overall shape layers. If let's say we want to change the color to gradient or the stroke color to gradient, I can go to the add here. If you take a look on top here are the shapes. I can always add any shapes layers inside the content. And these sections is the fill, stroke, and gradient fill and gradient stroke. So once you add gradient fill, you will be able to see that the fill turns into gradient. But if let's say I move the gradient fill to the bottom of the fill, it will read the fill first, meaning that inside our shapes layer or our content layer, it reads from top to the bottom. So let's delete this using backspace. Another place that we can change where it's faster, which is on top here. So you can go to the fill, the blue text of the fill, you just click on the fill, you will be able to see that you can make it none, you can make solid color, linear gradient or radial gradient. So let's take a look at linear gradient. I press OK. And I go to my selection tool. I will be able to see that there's this controller. You can just drag and drag my red color. So if let's say I don't like this gradient, I want to change the color, I can just click onto the color box here and I change this to maybe slightly cyan color. Now I get a nicer color, gradient color that I want. Stroke, same, you can just click onto the stroke text. You will be able to choose the options. You'll be able to choose the blending mode as well, and also the opacity. You can change the color over here, and you can change the stroke thickness over here. So these are the things that we can set for the shapes. Now let's take a look. Within the same layer, we use pen tool to create a very organic shapes. You can always hold down, right now I'm still holding my left key. You can always hold down your alternate to break the tangent and click on the last point to close path. So right now you will see that there's sharp edges over here. If let's say you want to turn it to a very smooth curve, you can always go to the pen tool, hold down your left key. You'll be able to choose the convert vertex tool. So once you have this tool, you hover to the point and click and hold and drag. You'll be able to get the smooth shapes. Once you create the shapes, you want to break the tangent or make the edge sharp, you can always hover to the handle and drag. If you want it to be smooth, it will be at the point. If you want the break tangent, it will be at the handle. So that's how you create shapes. And if you take a look at the shapes here, the path is just one layer and you can just click on the point to change the shape and you can animate the shapes. Whereas for rectangle, because this is a geometric shape, it's hard to move the points around. But you want to move the points around, there's one way you can do it. You can go to the rectangle path, right click, convert to Bezier path. Once you convert, you will be able to get your Bezier path. You can just change the shapes. Now let's take a look at the transform over here. Right now, if let's say I move my rectangle, I only moving my rectangle. If let's say at the transform here, I move position, I will be moving both shapes because the shapes are holding under the shapes layer. Sometimes when you are working on the shapes and you want to change the shape path, but somehow when you select on the path, you can't see the outline. What happened here is you deselected this toggle mask and shape path visibility. Click on it. Once it turns blue, you'll be able to see that right now your points and your outline are visible. For shape layers in After Effects, you have a lot of flexibility and animations. Let's get into the add here. Once you click into the add here, you'll be able to find that there's merge path, offset path, pucker and blow, repeaters, round corners, trim path, things that you can play around with the shapes. Right now, I just go for bigger path. And if you take a look at the wiggle path, say I press my space bar, let it play, you'll be able to see the outline is moving. So if let's say I move my wiggle path in between my shapes and my rectangle, right now what it reads is, it reads the shapes, it reads the wiggle path, then only it reads the rectangle. Meaning that the wiggle path right now will only affect the shapes, but not the rectangle. So let's delete this. And normally when we are doing animations, we will have one shapes in each shape layers. So let's delete my rectangle. And the thing right now is, if let's say I want to rotate the shapes, I use the transform rotation, which is the shape layers rotation. When I rotate, my anchor point is at here. It's not in the center of my shapes. How can I do this? I just go to my shape layer, right click, go to transform, all the way go down to center anchor point in layer content. Just click on it. It will automatically calculate the center of the shapes and move the anchor point to the center. Right now, when you are rotating it, you are actually rotate at the center of the whole shapes. So if let's say you want to move it a bit into here, you can go to this pen behind anchor point. You just click on it and I match the center that you would like to have and move it to the center. If let's say you open the snipping, it will arrange it in the center of the whole shape layer. So when it snaps, you will see that there's this square shapes around the anchor point. So this is snapping. If you didn't turn it on, you can always hold down your control and move it around. You'll be able to snap your anchor point to the center of the whole shapes as well. So right now, I just, without holding anything, I just move to my eye match center of this shape and I do my rotation. This is all about shapes in After Effects. If you want to play around, you can always go to Add and play around with the attributes at the bottom.